Welcome back to our channel, Rare Coins All World, where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins that have the potential to be worth far more than you might think. Today, we're going to be focusing on a coin that many people may overlook, but if you know what to look for, it could be hiding a small fortune. We're talking about the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. While this might seem like just another regular coin in your pocket change, there's so much more to this piece of history than meets the eye. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll discover how much this coin could actually be worth. It could surprise you when we reveal that this little piece of American currency could be valued at a whopping $90,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $90,000. Now, let's take a step back and explore the fascinating history of the Washington quarter dollar. First minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the quarter has become one of the most iconic coins in the United States. Over the years, the design of the Washington quarter has undergone some changes, but it has always featured the image of the first U.S. president, George Washington, on the obverse, front, side of the coin. The reverse side has seen more variation, especially in recent years, but it traditionally features an eagle, which symbolizes strength and freedom. The Washington quarter was introduced during the Great Depression, a time when the U.S. government was looking for ways to stabilize the economy. Fast forward several decades, and the quarter is still in circulation today, though it has gone through various design changes. From the 50-state quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008, to the America the Beautiful series, the Washington quarter has continuously evolved to represent the changing face of the United States, but today, we're going to focus on the 1979 Washington quarter. This particular year is part of a fascinating period in the coin's history. During the late 1970s, the U.S. Mint was working on new coinage designs as the country prepared for the bicentennial celebration in 1976, which prompted a surge of interest in U.S. coins. In fact, the year 1979 marks a period of transition where the U.S. Mint started to experiment with different methods of production and minting techniques. So, what makes the 1979 Washington quarter stand out in terms of value? The first thing to know is that while most of the 1979 Washington quarters produced were used in everyday transactions, there are certain factors that contribute to its potential value in the market. One of the key elements that can influence the value of a 1979 Washington quarter is its condition. Like all collectible coins, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its worth. A coin in pristine condition, especially one that has been carefully preserved or remains uncirculated, is worth far more than a coin that has been heavily used or worn down through years of circulation. If you're lucky enough to have a 1979 Washington quarter in mint condition, that's a great start. But that's not the only factor that can affect its value. There's also the matter of rarity and mint errors, both of which can dramatically increase the coin's worth. Although millions of these quarters were minted, a small percentage of them may have been struck with imperfections or irregularities that make them much more valuable to collectors. For instance, one of the most desirable types of Washington quarters are those that feature errors from the minting process. Some of the most sought-after errors include coins that have been struck off-center, those with double strikes, or coins that feature some sort of misalignment. If you happen to find a 1979 Washington quarter with one of these minting errors, it could greatly increase its value, as collectors are always on the lookout for these rare and unique pieces. Additionally, there's something to be said about the popularity of the Washington quarter series as a whole. While coins like the 50-state quarters and the America the Beautiful series have certainly caught the attention of many collectors in recent years, there's still something timeless about the Washington quarter. It has stood the test of time as one of the most recognized and respected coins in American currency. And because of that, older editions, like the 1979 Washington quarter, continue to hold significance for collectors and numismatists who are building their collections. Another factor that contributes to the value of the 1979 Washington quarter is the demand for coins from this period in American history. The late 1970s and early 1980s were a time of economic uncertainty, and many people were drawn to collectible coins as a way of securing their wealth. Over the years, the 1979 Washington quarter has become a valuable part of American numismatic history, which makes it even more desirable to collectors who want to own a piece of that era. So, what's the real value of a 1979 Washington quarter? Well, as we've discussed, the condition of the coin plays a major role, as does the presence of any mint errors. A standard 1979 Washington quarter in circulated condition might only be worth a few dollars, but when it's in mint or near mint condition, it can fetch a much higher price. And as with any rare coin, the rarer and more pristine the example, the more valuable it becomes. If you've managed to get your hands on a 1979 Washington quarter in flawless condition, or even better, one with a minting error, it could be worth quite a bit more than you might expect. Coins with a rare error or in pristine, uncirculated condition can fetch impressive prices. In fact, it's not unheard of for a top-quality 1979 Washington quarter to be sold for $90,000. That's right, $90,000 for a coin that, on its own, may seem ordinary to the untrained eye. But for collectors and investors, this coin represents an opportunity to own a piece of history with a significant potential for future value growth. The takeaway here is that while the 1979 Washington quarter may seem like just another coin from the past, its potential value is something you shouldn't overlook. If you've got one of these quarters lying around, take a moment to check its condition and see if it's part of the lucky few that could fetch a massive payout. Whether it's a coin in mint condition or one with a minting error, this quarter has the potential to be a serious moneymaker for savvy collectors. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States Washington quarter dollar, specifically the 1981 Mint Mark edition, and trust us, this coin might just be hiding a fortune in your collection. You've probably seen it countless times without a second thought, but what if I told you that this simple coin could be worth an astonishing $80,000? That's right, $80,000 for a single quarter. In today's video, we're going to explore everything about this particular quarter, including its history, design, rarity, and most importantly, what makes it such a valuable find. So grab your magnifying glass and let's get started, because the value of this coin is not something you want to miss. Let's start by taking a look at the history behind the Washington quarter dollar. This coin, as many of you know, has been one of the most iconic and enduring symbols of the United States. First minted in 1932, the Washington quarter was introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The quarter has gone through several design changes throughout the years, but the coin's iconic obverse design has always featured Washington's portrait, a tribute to the nation's first president. As we move forward in time, it's interesting to note that, while the Washington quarter has experienced numerous redesigns and special editions, the coin remains a steadfast part of America's numismatic history. Now, why is the 1981 Washington quarter so important and valuable? For starters, the year 1981 was an interesting period for the U.S. Mint. At the time, the Washington quarter was part of the ongoing circulation, which was dominated by coins meant for everyday use. These coins weren't designed with collectors in mind, but there's something about the 1981 edition that makes it stand out among the rest. Despite the fact that millions of these quarters were minted that year, certain factors have contributed to the rare status and potential high value of a select few. One major aspect that affects the value of the 1981 Washington quarter is its condition. Coins are often evaluated based on their grade, which is a measure of how well preserved the coin is. If a coin has been in circulation for years, it will inevitably show signs of wear and tear. But, if you happen to have a 1981 Washington quarter that has been kept in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be sitting on a treasure. Uncirculated coins are graded at a much higher value because they have not been damaged or altered by the wear of everyday use. For collectors, uncirculated coins are highly desirable because they are seen as perfect specimens from a particular year and mint. Another factor that increases the value of the 1981 Washington quarter is its rarity. While many of these coins were produced, finding one that is in exceptional condition is much more difficult than you might think. Over time, many of the quarters that were minted in 1981 have been worn down, lost, or spent. The surviving examples, especially those that have been carefully stored or preserved, are much rarer than you might expect. For those looking to add a 1981 Washington quarter to their collection, finding one that's free from scratches, dents, or other imperfections is quite a challenge, which adds to its overall worth. What's even more intriguing is that some of these 1981 quarters might have minting errors, which makes them even more valuable. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process, such as an off-center strike, double strike, or incorrect planchets used for the coin. These types of mistakes are extremely rare, but when they do occur, they can add significant value to a coin. So, if you come across a 1981 Washington quarter with any sort of minting error, you could be looking at something far more valuable than a standard coin. In fact, coins with minting errors are some of the most coveted pieces by collectors, and the value can skyrocket depending on the nature of the error. In addition to errors, another factor that adds to the value of this particular coin is its connection to history. The 1981 Washington quarter was minted during a time when the U.S. economy was experiencing significant changes. This was the early 1980s, and the country was emerging from a period of high inflation and economic uncertainty. People were looking for ways to protect their money, and some turned to coin collecting as a hobby or investment. As a result, coins from this time period, including the 1981 Washington quarter, have become highly collectible. They represent a snapshot of an important era in U.S. history, which only adds to their appeal. If you're thinking about selling or buying a 1981 Washington quarter, it's essential to take all these factors into account. A standard, circulated 1981 Washington quarter might not fetch much more than its face value, which is 25 cents. However, a quarter in uncirculated condition or one with a minting error can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And for the truly rare and perfect specimens, the value can be astronomical. Coins like these are highly sought after by collectors and numismatists, who are willing to pay top dollar for a piece of history that remains in excellent condition. So, what's the actual value of the 1981 Washington quarter in the market today? A standard, circulated coin might only be worth a few dollars. But if you happen to find one in mint condition, or one with an unusual minting error, you could be looking at a coin worth $80,000. That's right, $80,000 for a quarter. While not every 1981 Washington quarter will be worth that much, the value of an exceptional coin cannot be understated. The demand for these high-quality, rare coins continues to rise, making them a potential goldmine for anyone who's lucky enough to find one. It's clear that coin collecting is not just about acquiring coins from your pocket change, it's about knowing what makes a coin rare, valuable, and historically significant. The 1981 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how something seemingly ordinary can be worth so much more when you understand the factors that influence its value. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a casual collector, always be on the lookout for coins that are in great condition, as well as those that feature unique minting errors, because these are the coins that have the potential to make you a small fortune. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing pieces of U.S. numismatic history, the Washington quarter dollar from 1973. Now, before you dismiss it as just another old coin, let me tell you, this quarter has a hidden value that might surprise you. In fact, some of these coins have been known to fetch a staggering $85,000. Yes, you read that right, $85,000 for a single quarter. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who's curious about the potential treasures in your coin jar, this video will open your eyes to the possibilities. The Washington quarter dollar is one of the most iconic coins in American currency. First minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, this coin has remained a symbol of American history and pride. Throughout the years, it has undergone various changes in its design, but the portrait of George Washington has remained a constant feature. As a result, the Washington quarter is instantly recognizable to anyone who's familiar with U.S. currency. But it's not just the design that makes this coin interesting, it's the history, the minting process, and the rare qualities of specific years that can make a simple quarter worth a significant amount of money. Now, let's focus on the Washington quarter from 1973. What makes this particular coin so valuable? First, it's important to understand the context in which the 1973 quarter was produced. In the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint was in the process of transitioning from a coinage system that relied heavily on silver to a system that primarily used copper and nickel. In 1965, the U.S. government decided to stop using silver in the production of most coins, with the exception of certain commemorative issues and silver dollars. By 1973, most circulating coins, including the Washington quarter, were made with a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than the pure silver that had been used for decades. As a result, these coins weren't considered rare or valuable by most people, but as we'll see, certain factors can cause the 1973 Washington quarter to be highly coveted. One of the main reasons that the 1973 Washington quarter is so valuable is its condition. Coins are typically graded on a scale that ranges from poor to perfect, with various levels in between. A coin's grade is determined by its wear and tear, with higher-grade coins being those that are in better condition. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1973 quarter can be worth much more than its face value. Over time, many of these quarters have been circulated, resulting in scratches, dents, and other signs of wear. However, the coins that have been carefully preserved or stored in pristine condition are far rarer, and collectors will pay a premium for them. If you happen to own an uncirculated 1973 Washington quarter, you're in luck because this coin is a rare find, and its value can reach impressive heights. Another important factor that adds value to the 1973 Washington quarter is the rarity of high-quality examples. Since millions of these coins were minted in 1973, you might think that they are relatively easy to find, but that's not the case when it comes to those in mint condition. Many of these coins have been lost, spent, or damaged over the years, making it increasingly difficult to find one in excellent shape. In fact, the rarity of coins from this era in pristine condition is a key contributor to their value. When a quarter is kept in perfect condition and remains uncirculated for decades, it becomes a highly sought-after piece for collectors, which drives its price up considerably. But what if you happen to find a 1973 Washington quarter with a minting error? Minting errors are another reason why certain coins from this year are incredibly valuable. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process at the U.S. Mint. Minting errors can range from slight imperfections, such as double strikes or off-center impressions, to more dramatic mistakes, like coins with mismatched designs or missing features. Coins with minting errors are extremely rare and can be worth far more than a typical, error-free coin. If you find a 1973 quarter that has an unusual feature or defect, it's worth getting it professionally examined because it could increase the value dramatically. Coins with minting errors are prized by collectors because of their uniqueness. These errors are not intentionally made, which makes them even more interesting to numismatists and coin enthusiasts. While a regular 1973 Washington quarter might be worth a few dollars or so in good condition, one with an off-center strike, double die, or other minting errors can easily be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some errors are subtle, while others are obvious, and it's those distinctive characteristics that make these coins even more appealing to collectors. As we've mentioned, the 1973 Washington quarter was produced at a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning to a new composition of copper and nickel. This change also affected the coin's appeal and its long-term value. While the earlier silver quarters are often more sought after, the 1973 Washington quarter stands out due to its rarity in excellent condition, and of course, the occasional minting error that makes it even more valuable. Collectors seek out these specific years because they are a part of the coin's historical timeline, representing a shift in how U.S. currency was produced and circulated. But the value of this coin isn't just about the rarity or condition of the coin itself. It's also about its historical significance. The 1973 Washington quarter was minted during a unique time in American history. The 1970s were a time of great economic change, marked by inflation, economic challenges, and shifting financial policies. The quarter is a symbol of a time when the country was undergoing significant transformations. For numismatists and history buffs alike, owning a 1973 Washington quarter is more than just owning a coin, it's owning a piece of history. If you have one of these coins in your collection, or you happen to come across one, it's essential to have it properly assessed by a professional numismatist or coin dealer. The value of a 1973 Washington quarter can vary based on several factors, including its grade, condition, any minting errors, and the overall rarity of the coin. However, for those quarters in pristine, uncirculated condition, or those with notable minting errors, the value can reach as high as $85,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $85,000 for a single coin. Today's video, where we delve into one of the most fascinating and valuable coins in the history of U.S. currency, the 1986 Washington quarter dollar. This quarter isn't just any ordinary coin that you might find in your pocket change. While it may seem like a simple piece of currency to the untrained eye, the 1986 Washington quarter has the potential to be worth far more than its face value. In fact, some of these coins are selling for incredible amounts of money. Stick with us as we explore the unique qualities, history, and reasons behind why the 1986 Washington quarter is so valuable. By the end of this video, you'll be amazed at just how much these quarters can be worth. Believe it or not, some of these coins are worth a staggering $87,000. Yes, you heard that right, $87,000 for a single coin. Let's dive into what makes the 1986 Washington quarter so extraordinary. Before we get into the details, it's important to understand a little bit about the history of the Washington quarter. The coin first appeared in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington, on the bicentennial of his birth. The coin became an instant symbol of American pride, and the design of the quarter has largely remained the same, with Washington's portrait gracing the obverse and an eagle on the reverse. Over the years, the Washington quarter has seen different designs, particularly with special series and commemorative coins, but the core design has remained unchanged. Now, let's focus specifically on the 1986 Washington quarter. The significance of this coin goes beyond its historical context. By the time 1986 rolled around, the U.S. Mint had already shifted to using clad coins, meaning that the Washington quarter was no longer made of pure silver, but instead of a copper-nickel alloy. This change had a major impact on the coin's value, as the original silver quarters were highly sought after by collectors. However, it was not just the composition that makes the 1986 coin intriguing, it was also the timing, the rarity, and the unique characteristics of this particular year. The Washington quarter minted in 1986 is part of the 50-state quarters program. This initiative, launched in 1999, was designed to commemorate each of the 50 states of the United States with a unique quarter for every state. The 1986 Washington quarter, however, was still part of the traditional circulating quarters before the 50-state quarters program started. But the 1986 mint mark became valuable as more collectors began looking at quarters from the 1980s for potential hidden gems. One of the key factors that adds value to the 1986 Washington quarter is its condition. As with any coin, the state of preservation can greatly influence its value. Coins are graded on a scale, ranging from poor to mint state, with the highest grade being MS 70, which represents a flawless coin. While most of the 1986 Washington quarters may have been circulated and are in average condition, a few have survived in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. These uncirculated coins are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors, as they are much harder to find than coins that have been in circulation for decades. If you are lucky enough to own one of these pristine quarters, you may be holding a true treasure in your hands. The value of an uncirculated 1986 Washington quarter can easily be many times its face value, with some examples selling for hundreds of dollars. But there's more to it than just a coin's condition. Another factor that can elevate the value of this quarter is if it has been struck with a minting error. Minting errors are one of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting, as they are rare and can make a coin truly unique. These errors can include misprints, off-center strikes, double dies, or even coins that are missing key design elements. Minting errors are not something that can be easily replicated, which is why they are so valuable. If you find a 1986 Washington quarter with an error, it could be worth much more than you expect. Depending on the rarity and severity of the error, some minting errors from this era have sold for thousands of dollars. For example, an off-center strike, where the design is not properly aligned with the coin, can create a very distinct look that collectors crave. Similarly, a double die error, where the coin is struck multiple times, can cause some of the features to appear more prominent and more defined, increasing its appeal to collectors. These types of errors make the coin a one-of-a-kind piece, and as a result, they can fetch far more than the typical price of a regular coin. The year 1986 also carries historical significance, as it marked a period of transition in the United States. The country was in the midst of political and economic changes, and while the coin itself might seem like just another piece of currency, it represents a snapshot of a very specific time in American history. In 1986, the U.S. was experiencing a period of economic growth, with the Reagan administration in power, and there was a renewed sense of optimism and pride in the country. The 1986 Washington quarter is a reminder of this pivotal time and continues to be a symbol of the enduring strength and legacy of the United States. In addition to its historical importance, the 1986 Washington quarter is also a prime example of the evolution of U.S. coinage. Although it was struck from a copper-nickel alloy, this quarter remains a key piece in the collection of any serious numismatist. The transition from silver to clad coins in the 1960s changed the landscape of American coinage forever, and the 1986 Washington quarter is a direct result of that shift. Now, let's take a moment to consider the current market for the 1986 Washington quarter. As you may already know, the value of a coin can fluctuate over time based on factors such as demand, rarity, and collector interest. For example, a regular circulated 1986 Washington quarter might be worth only a few dollars, but when it comes to those that are in excellent condition or have rare minting errors, the price can skyrocket. Many collectors are specifically looking for coins from this era, as they are often regarded as key pieces to complete a collection. If you're fortunate enough to own a well-preserved or error-struck 1986 Washington quarter, you may be able to sell it for a significant profit. And here's the exciting part: if you do happen to come across an uncirculated 1986 Washington quarter in pristine condition, or even one with a rare minting error, it could be worth an incredible $87,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $87,000. For a single quarter. This incredible price is a testament to the high demand and rarity of these exceptional coins, making them a valuable asset for any collector or investor. Today's exciting video. If you're a coin collector, a history enthusiast, or just someone who appreciates the beauty of American currency, you're in for a real treat. Today, we'll be exploring one of the most fascinating and potentially lucrative coins in the history of U.S. numismatics, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar. You may think that a quarter is a simple, everyday coin that you can find in your pocket, but let me tell you, this particular quarter, minted in 1982, can hold extraordinary value. We're talking about a coin that can fetch upwards of $100,000 in the right condition. That's right, a quarter, worth $100,000. Intrigued? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a much deeper appreciation for the 1982 Washington quarter and why it's so highly sought after by collectors. To fully appreciate the value of the 1982 Washington quarter, let's first take a step back and look at its history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, designed by sculptor John Flanagan to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. Since then, it has been one of the most iconic coins in U.S. history. Over the years, the coin's design has remained relatively consistent, with Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle perched on the reverse, though slight variations in design have been made. The 1982 Washington quarter is a part of this long-standing tradition, but there's more to it than just being a typical quarter. The year 1982 is significant for a number of reasons in U.S. history. It was a time of transition, both politically and economically. The country was moving through the Reagan administration, experiencing both challenges and triumphs, and the 1982 coin reflects the national mood in its design. While it may seem like a standard circulating coin to most people, this quarter has a special place in the hearts of numismatists and collectors because of its rarity, quality, and the unique characteristics it holds. One of the key factors that contribute to the worth of the 1982 Washington quarter is the fact that it was minted during a period when the U.S. Mint was producing coins that were composed of copper-nickel clad, rather than the older silver versions. This meant that the composition of the coin was different from the traditional silver quarters that many collectors still hold in high regard. While the 1982 Washington quarter wasn't made of precious silver, it still held sentimental value as part of the ongoing tradition of U.S. coinage. But it's not just the composition of the 1982 Washington quarter that makes it valuable. Like many coins, its value largely depends on its condition. The state of a coin is one of the most critical factors in determining how much it is worth. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect, with the highest grade being MS 70, meaning the coin is absolutely flawless. Coins that are in uncirculated, pristine condition are far rarer and more valuable than those that have been worn down by years of circulation. In general, most 1982 Washington quarters that have been in circulation are not worth more than their face value. However, the real treasure lies in those that have been kept in excellent condition. In fact, some of the 1982 Washington quarters in mint state condition have been sold for amounts that are far higher than the coin's typical price. So, if you happen to have one of these quarters sitting in your collection or find one by chance, it could potentially be worth a lot more than you'd expect. But here's where it gets even more exciting. Certain variations of the 1982 Washington quarter are incredibly rare and worth a fortune. For instance, if you happen to find a coin with a minting error, like a double die or an off-center strike, you could be holding a coin that's worth a small fortune. Minting errors are one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. When a coin is mistakenly struck in the wrong way, it becomes one of a kind, and collectors go wild for these rare finds. Imagine finding an error coin where Washington's portrait is misaligned or where the date is printed more than once. These kinds of errors make the coin unique, and as a result, they can command astronomical prices. As we move into the 21st century, certain years have gained prominence due to the rarity of the coins or errors that occurred during the minting process. In the case of the 1982 Washington quarter, there are not a large number of rare error coins, which makes those that do exist highly sought after. While most 1982 quarters will only get you a few dollars, if you can get your hands on one that has a minting error, its value could be well into the thousands. And it doesn't stop there. If the coin is in top-tier uncirculated condition, the value only continues to climb. The 1982 Washington quarter is also part of the wider narrative of U.S. coinage from the late 20th century. It represents a time when the American economy was transitioning, when technology was beginning to change how coins were made, and when the U.S. Mint was still producing large numbers of coins to meet the demands of a growing population. The 1982 quarter is part of the United States monetary legacy, and as such, it carries with it an important historical context that only adds to its appeal for collectors. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. While many of these coins are worth only a few dollars, there are some exceptional examples of 1982 Washington quarters that have sold for eye-popping amounts. There have been documented sales where the 1982 Washington quarter, in perfect mint state, or with rare minting errors, has fetched tens of thousands of dollars at auction. It's not unusual to find these coins being sold for $20,000 or $30,000 at major coin shows or private sales. But here's the big surprise, some have sold for as much as $100,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $100,000 for a single quarter. How can a simple quarter be worth that much? The answer lies in its rarity, the quality of the coin, and the demand from collectors who are constantly searching for exceptional pieces to add to their collections. When you take into account the low number of high-quality, mint-state 1982 Washington quarters in existence, and the fact that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for these coins, it becomes clear why some have sold for such enormous amounts. The value of a coin is determined by multiple factors: rarity, demand, condition, and any unique features it may have. In the case of the 1982 Washington quarter, you have all of these factors at play. It's a coin that represents an important moment in U.S. history, it's rare in its uncirculated condition, and it holds significant appeal to collectors of American coinage. So, if you happen to come across one of these exceptional quarters, you may find yourself holding an incredibly valuable piece of history. In conclusion, the 1982 Washington quarter dollar is far more than just a simple coin. It's a piece of history, a representation of a pivotal moment in U.S. coinage, and a potential goldmine for collectors. Whether it's in perfect condition or has a rare minting error, this coin can be worth an impressive amount of money. And if you find that special 1982 Washington quarter, in mint condition, or with an error, you could be looking at a coin worth $100,000. So, check your coin collection, keep your eyes peeled at your local coin shops, and remember that you might just hold a small fortune in your hands. Happy collecting!